All right, so World Cup has broken into crypto, and it involves a handful of tokens that you guys will recognize, obviously Chiliz and Socios, as well as Algorand. So we're going to break all that down for you guys. There's a lot happening in this space. So also some movement on these tokens. So is there a trade here or not? We'll find out. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get into the World Cup, and let's talk about maybe some good news here for crypto for a little bit. Get away from the FTX drama, because I think there may be some cool aspects to this. I want to jump just to the chart here. Love to know who you guys like, if you're big World Cup, if you're soccer fans, who you like currently in the group. Obviously, we have the USA in there, so would love to see your impact on who you think's going to win this thing, who you think's going to run out away with it. I'd love to get kind of your feedback. Make sure and smash the like button and let us know who you like. Additionally to that, there's a lot more happening, and I want to show you just the fan token layout of this. These are all the fan tokens that are essentially running right now on Chiliz and on Socios. So it's kind of funny because you look at the breakdown of crypto and how it's being used. This, I think, might, and we've talked about this before, is that social communities, the likelihood and opportunity for social communities to be tied into crypto are really big, and sports is another factor that plays into this. And of course, this is kind of the magic of both. I also want to jump over to a little bit about what fan tokens are. What are they? How do they work? There's a few points that are, I think, no, let me zoom in on this for you guys a little bit. So it basically lets the holders access a variety of the related membership perks, much like an NFT. So it has the whole NFT, but it's a lot more utilitarian. So it does kind of connect to all those things, from merchandise, designs, experiences for the live events. The Chiliz token is the first and the most prominent fan token that has basically promoted kind of this whole explosion. And this obviously came with Manchester City's fan token, Milan's fan token, and then the Juventus fan token. So a lot around where I chop these up because I'm not a big soccer fan, as you guys probably know by now, even though I do like the USA. And of course Messi, because, you know, I mean, everybody likes Messi. But anyway, you got merch design, tour bus designs, ticketing, match locations, and things like MVP categories. We have been talking about Chiliz for quite a while here on the channel, and many of that has kind of went back to the whole aspect of the growth that we saw on the Chiliz token in the early on. And I'll show you some of the stuff around that. But most people right now, if they're gaining access to this, fans, first of all, to hold one of the social tokens, the fan tokens, you have to buy Chiliz, which is why we're seeing these movements. Obviously, this all in our past videos has been timing the potential of where Chiliz is right now, and it's still continuing to climb up the charts. I'll show you guys some sentiment at the end. We'll also jump into some other sentiment for you, because we have fresh sentiment data for you to take a look at. So that, I think, in itself is going to continue to drive. And if you look back at the overall, you know, the bracket breakdown, this is an entire month of activity that we're going to be seeing. So be thinking about that, because this means that maybe Chiliz will continue to be at the front of what's happening for several weeks. All right, more stuff here is here's Socios right here. Kind of just the amount that they've really kind of pushed into from an aspect of, and I want to kind of show you, let me show you a little bit about the app, because we don't really have this available. Let me kind of scan it a little bit, jump it around for you guys. There we go. So you can kind of see how it goes in action for those that get a chance to use this out there in the World Cup activity, but also in the essence of just how Socios has really ramped up a really good quality product here. And I think that's the thing. Who's the winner here for what this may play out? I think Socios and Chiliz are pretty much the hands down winner. There's a handful of other companies out there and projects that kind of move into this. Here's the fan football project rankings. So again, these are fan tokens. You can kind of see a little bit of these. If you look at the number of holders right here, Milan is holding number 1. You've got the Porto team number 2, and then the AS Roma, and so on. But you can kind of see a little bit here on the rankings overall on the fan tokens, and they've got the integration in here. Pretty cool little aspect of how quickly I think some of these fan tokens are going to potentially move. And that's not all. There's a lot around how the fan tokens themselves are going to kind of work their way into other aspects within the crypto community. A good part of that is Bybit, who is our sponsor today. Bybit, if you guys aren't using them, make sure and check them out. You can not only get spot trading, you can also get some bonuses for signing up. So check them out. Over on their Twitter account, right here, Bybit and Chiliz Fan Token Trophy, officially now online. This is going from November 18th through the December 18th. So you'll be able to accumulate a minimum of $100 in spot trading volume at any eligible pairs and grab a share of the 300K in USDT prize pool. So that's kind of cool. A little bit about what they did there on their website. They showed the fan token trophy. And all of these are those fan tokens. And again, all of these are Chiliz tokens. So it, again, goes back to that whole point of what's been driving the price. We've been talking about it for a while. Now you know. Now you understand completely. Binance is also in the mix of this. Here's their full Binance Football Fever 2022 and this whole passport aspect that they're going on. And again, same kind of scenario. I think we'll see more of this, which is good for crypto, I think, in general. But in essence, I don't know, though, a lot of people that are following soccer really understand that Chiliz and Socios are really just crypto. So it's an interesting play that is playing out right now. Here's Huobi right now, also offering a lot of activity to kind of promo what's happening here on the Chiliz token, among many others. Let's go on to another one. Here's Messi, now listing ARG, which is another one of the fan tokens here on USD. This is obviously the Argentinian Association fan token, which Argentina is a big one, along with others out there. Brazil, I think it would be. I'm surprised that Brazil hasn't kind of taken over as the top token. And then a little bit about Chiliz Chain 2.0. What I really wanted to focus on right here is that this is a fork of the Binance Smart Chain. So that to me is a big deal because this plays into that Binance ecosystem that we've talked about for a lot of, or a long time here on our channel, is the amount of innovation that happens over there, obviously with Binance Labs, all that kind of stuff. So again, Binance Smart Chain now, Chiliz 2.0. So good on them for going that direction. I think this is a good one. Here's the Chiliz Twitter account, Socios. And are you ready? This is the new phase 5, which is going to be staking. And this, I think, is another factor that will continue to probably create a lot more buzz around this. There's a lot, and I'll show you guys some of the tokenomics here that are kind of interesting around Chiliz in itself. But really cool stuff. I think and they've done such a good job with this. And if you look at their token distribution right here, as I promised, the total Chiliz supply, and you can kind of see right here, the pre-sale token sale, along with the user base reserve. Not bad tokenomics when you consider overall how many of these tokens out there in the altcoin base kind of react. Love to get your feedback. Make sure and smash a like if you like these kinds of breakdowns, these deep dives on projects that are moving or are really having some activity in the markets. Love to get your feedback. Drop a comment below if you're coming in after the live show. And then let's talk about their team, because this is another power portion of why Chiliz and Socios has done such a good job. And this team is star-studded. And not only that, they are putting some talent and some heavyweight volume behind this. And I think they have to, obviously leading up to the World Cup, the potential for this becoming a long-term, year-round marketing component, especially around the fan tokens, which I think that is really the longer play. Sure, we'll probably see a little bit of an offset. I'll show you the chart in a minute, and we'll break it down. And when I say offset, meaning yes, we'll probably see a little bit of downtrend on Chiliz a little bit later. Right now, sentiment is still fine. I think even on our own ranking, Chiliz was still number 1 in our altcoins. And in Metaverse, I should say, Metaverse doing very well. So good stuff for sure. I think this continues. And hey, listen, if you're going to sign and start something like this, you got to sign the best. And that, of course, is Mr. Messi himself. And when you look at that, I think this is a big enough. This was the first one he signed with. And we're going to see more integration into not only himself, along with Ronaldo, other big players in the community that are really flying into this market in a big way. It's a little different than the situation that happened with Brady and FTX. That was more of an ambassador side. This is actually bringing these players into the operational aspect of how these companies and projects are starting to expand. So that is a big deal. And what that might mean in the long term is pretty cool. Here was their blog post, building a long-term future for blockchain sport. And this gets into the bigger picture of Chiliz. And again, we've talked about this on the show a lot at length, that it's more than just soccer. They've got a UFC deal, I'll show you in a minute, along with some other aspects. Further in this blog post, I want to showcase a little bit of what they talk about. So the ones that are still around, this is meaning the fan tokens, they're here because they have this bigger vision. And Sorare is, a good example. They have continued to build, and kind of put their position out there. We actually reported on Sorare probably over a year ago, looking at this as a big part of how, especially altcoins, could move in the space. And they're offering football, NBA, NFL, all in a way to collect NFTs. Again, big bull on where NFTs is going to be going in the future. And it's not about making a quick buck. That's another big factor that I think some of these companies and projects have been able to understand. And their tie into sports is very, very key and strategic. So all that is a pretty cool thing. Sorare carved out the niche, and they kind of carved out there. So I think it's kind of becoming a two-horse race. There's a handful of others out there, yes, of course. And I'd love to get you guys' feedback. Do you see other sports-related entities that are coming into the space? And a lot of startups right now, I know, we get a lot of pitches from different projects that want to get an interview. But I'd love to get your feedback. Who do you think is coming up the ranks, and who potentially could go up against someone like a Sorare or what's happening at Socios and Chiliz? Here's Sorare's platform. I mean, I'm not going to say in comparison to Socios, but it's a just different class level. But you can kind of see, obviously, they've got the NFT integrations in there for football, NFT, Major League Baseball, and a good one. And I think, yeah, we actually had the Sorare team on. We should probably have them back, because I think this is becoming now finally a little bit more receptive to the fans, and they're starting to understand it. And more importantly, the projects themselves are starting to mature a little bit more. So we should probably bring them back on the show. Lionel Messi, of course, takes a stake in the deal with Sorare as well. So that's another big advantage of bringing in kind of the heavy talent, not only just as ambassadors, but actually as part of it. And I think this will be big, because when you think about the gameplay, you look at not only the promotion, but putting these players into these projects and letting them start to help. It's kind of like putting a musician into some of the recording groups, or into some of the entertainment companies out there, or designers into like Nike and etc. All those start to play out, and I think those do well overall. And I think this is going to be a good one for Messi. And this was his second partnership right here with BitGet also. So further into what is going to happen in the space, I think soccer is going to be a big open opportunity for the where all this is kicking off and how it's going to work. Here you've got crypto.com kicking off at the FIFA World Cup as well, and others, out there moving in as well. I mean, you look at the situation. This was all run on Algorand. This was the FIFA Collect. This was kind of a marketplace around video clips. And again, this was part of Algorand's deal. And interestingly enough, though, Algorand has not got, I think, the full effect of what this. I mean, Socios and Chiliz has pretty much stolen the limelight here. So kind of not a great thing. But here's a little bit more on just kind of how ZoneX and Algorand had this PlayFi League. Now it's live. Again, situation is that Algorand needed, I think, a lot more marketing on this, and they also needed to get pumped into the World Cup itself, because there was a bit of a kind of a scandal on them not getting their logo out there. Here's a good example right here. We'd love to ask FIFA and the World Cup and Collect when they're going to list Algorand as the official partner, not even under the regional partner. Even in crypto.com is there. How hard is it up to date? Yeah. I think everybody's kind of a little bit peeved about that, but you can kind of see Algorand. And Algorand, remember, Algorand was the first to really come out with the partnership. Here was the original little piece right there. Algorand isn't the official blockchain of FIFA. Anything else we should know? And this was based on that story right there that FIFA announced the partnership with Algorand itself. So I think, these are the kind of things that play out in crypto. Yeah, I see it. But Algorand's still pumping, guys. And I think if they had a better little move, this would have been big for sure for Algorand. Here's Binance a little bit further in. Football tokens, fan tokens versus Bitcoin, a little bit of fun there. And then they get into a lot of what they're doing in different, this is obviously in addition to NFTs and how FIFA's tying into Web3, all that good stuff. I mean, they've got a lot happening here within this. This is the Ronaldo piece right there. So you get the Ronaldo Binance connection there. I love that. That's a good one, for sure. Love to get your feedback. Also, last up, of course, is the UFC fan token. Even though it is, maybe this is the next one that could take a little bit of a run here. If you look at where this one is running right now, we'll go down to 3-month, kind of a little bit of erratic, but it's down here. And you compare that to Chiliz, and I'll show you Chiliz in a minute, of where that might play out. Maybe this is a potential right here. And if you go further into the tie-in right here, UFC and Chiliz partner right there to launch the fan token. So maybe there's something here as we start to see some post FIFA action and World Cup action. Maybe this is where we'll start to really see a lot more integrations into Socios and Chiliz as a whole that creates that long-term, year-round effect on fan tokens, these communities, and the opportunity of how sports and crypto start to merge together. Make sure to drop some questions in over there. We'll jump over into the chart real quick, and I want to look at Chiliz. All right, so you can kind of see right here, Chiliz run. Let me go back too, because this was a run up that we were on last month, and we were looking at Chiliz, and I think we did a couple of videos actually on Chiliz, and this was the zone that we were in at the time, and we ended up selling, I think in there around, what was it, about 28, yeah. So, I mean, we saw a nice run there, but now if you look at what's happening and where we're running, this is coming down here from this, 15-cent range to where Chiliz is running at right now, which is at 26. So a nice move here for sure. And again, are you going to buy in on this one? I'm kind of curious if you're a big fan. Are you guys going to stick on this one? If you look at the sentiment, I'll get over to the sentiment. Hang on one second. And let me run over there and jump out. And on the sentiment side of things, when we track these, we're looking kind of, remember, at the top line sentiment and then also at the amplification sentiment. The amplification sentiment is typically the one that gets into what the intent is, how people are looking at maybe getting into something. So let me pull that up over here on the site. All right, so let's go over to the power index. We'll jump in there and let's go to, excuse me, Metaverse. And we'll jump into Chiliz. And it should propagate here in a second, but let's go on over there. Oh, my screen is doing something weird. Let's let that paint out there. There we go. All right, so that'll give me a new chart here in a second. And there it is. All right, so let's see here. That was Audius, Veracity. There's Chiliz right there. All right, so here's the Chiliz chart. And you can kind of see, we had this run up back here in October, early November. This is kind of where it went. Then we saw the dip. It kind of goes in alignment with what you're looking at right here, this dip. And then you tie that in and you're looking at this really upward signal right now, both on top line sentiment, which right now Chiliz is the #1 Metaverse token currently. So ranking wise, not a bad deal. Interesting though, do you think this would be a short position, or do you think this is a FOMO where a lot of people are going to be looking at this as the World Cup continues to mature this month? Love to get your feedback on that. We're definitely going to go into the details on that. I know there's some questions coming in, so we definitely want to jump to some of those. Do you guys want to take a look at some other tokens? Let me know. We'll pull up a few of those. I want to look at the Bitcoin chart right now, just quickly. So we're holding out at 16.6, and let's take a look back at Bitcoin. We'll jump over to Top Crypto real quick and jump into Bitcoin because I want to see where sentiment popped out on Bitcoin. Was it trending down? because I had not seen that one yet. All right, so we were trending down midweek, slight up here, but down on top line. So we're a little bit off on Bitcoin. Seems to be starting to slow in. And again, this has been a little bit of this sideways action that we've seen on Bitcoin for sure. Let's get over to the poll real quick and take a look at what you guys have to say. All right, which crypto project wins the World Cup? Chiliz Socios, Crypto.com, Sorare, Algo. Interesting. Let me look at Algorand. Let's take a look at Algorand because that's one of our projects that we track pretty significantly. Let's go and stretch this one out a little bit. That was the downside. And a little bit of movement here right now. I mean, we've got, what do we have here? We're running at right around a 10% move right now. We'll take a look at the Algorand and how some of these are going. Let's take a look at Algorand. Nice little, okay. So this one clipped up right there. It had been underperforming right there on 11.5. Nice little jump into the market and above right now, ranking above. So Algorand may be an interesting play right now. This is one that I'm watching closely now. I'm going to flag this guy. Again, if you had played this, right here in this range, there were some definite opportunities here for Algorand in the short term. Very cool. Some wedges, though, yeah, I get it. A lot happening in there. I don't know. We don't track the Crow on the Crow token on the CPI, so I can't give you that one. But these are the ones that right now we are looking at further into it. Let's get over to some of the questions. All right, Chiliz is for retail flip-floppers. Algo is where the big money is. Okay, Leighton, I see that. Grist comes in and says, yeah, I sold too much of my holdings, even though I believe the gaming and social tokens are going to dominate. Maybe the World Cup is the moment fan tokens finally enter the zeitgeist. This may be it. This may be the connection for NFT and fan tokens to really kind of play its way. Maybe we get some movement there on the fan token side of things that could end up being there. All right, so you're going to short, looks like Techberg is going to short Chiliz at 20. All right. That might be, yeah, I would say you probably are about right if it gets up into the 29 cent. If we go back to 30, if you go back in and look at Chiliz, let me go back over to Chiliz. I mean, it did have that high right there at 29. So, I mean, if it's starting to break through, which is right now at 26, so it's doing a little bit of a move. That's very possible. 29 could be the short position, or it starts to overperform here because we are in the middle of the World Cup. All right, TJ, hey, Paul, you and Evan on the show the other day said Chiliz is going to drop. Actually, no, that is not true. Go check. Evan was talking about a drop. We were looking at a uptrend because sentiment was still pointing up at the time. So go back and check the episode. Excited to see what Algo and their up their sleeves with this advertisement. I think Algorand, I don't think it's too late. I think they could still accelerate some stuff. And I think but the smart money knows what is going on with Algorand. So people are kind of playing into that. Matt's coming in, says, Kramer asks, why does this blockchain even need a coin or a token to function? Can someone explain? Yeah, all right, well, this is kind of the whole problem with mainstream media and not understanding blockchain as a whole. That is, and at some point, they're going to start to understand that and start to understand. It's like as if you look at technology, same kind of scenario. In many cases, they were asking the same thing back in the day. All right, what does FIFA partnership exactly mean for Algorand? Well, I think the partnership is that, one, the chain is being utilized in a lot of tool sets around it. We showed you some of the examples that Algorand is being used as. And then, obviously, what they're trying to do is get notoriety around the World Cup, and that they are working with a lot of tool sets and different kinds of aspects as an underlying blockchain for and where this may go in. Because this is going to probably go past the World Cup for quite some time. So there still could be some interesting partnerships as this kind of moves past the World Cup. Chiliz needs to launch a streaming platform. That would be cool. Allow creators to issue tokens for time reviewed. That's interesting. Not a bad deal. That'd be very similar to Veracity, for sure. I do think fan tokens will end up taking over the Patreon. Yeah, that's a good point. I've had this conversation with a couple of guys about this in terms of how fan tokens could eventually be a potential Patreon model for aspects of not only the clubs themselves, but other aspects within the industry and sports industry as a whole. So a lot of that. Are we buying Chiliz or Algo right now? I don't know. I have purchased and I own still Chiliz, but I sold a little bit of the bag. Most likely I'm going to ride this up to around 30 cents. Maybe 29 would be my spot, and I'll set that trade in. And I will probably exit at that point, but I'll probably end up selling too early. How much do you trust these tokens? Algo, slight leader in trust because debacles like FTX. Algo is a good one. And we've had the Algorand team on our show, and Sean and the team over there, they do a fantastic job. The technology that they have underlying is also spot on. It's still one of the best projects out there. It's just unsung. That's its problem. It doesn't have. However, with the problems with Solana right now, Algorand may come in and steal some thunder out there for sure. Let's see here. World Cup just starting for sure. Chiliz all-time high. $1 potential. Come on, Jeff. You are really reaching there. But if you're right, boy, are we going to see something crazy. All right, guys, if you guys are interested in more of these breakdowns where we really zone in on one or two tokens, let us know. Smash the like button because that tells us that is the kind of content you like. Do you like the deeper dives? Did you get a chance to catch Greg Foss's interview this morning? Love to kind of get your feedback with that. We're going to drop some more content for you. We've got a lot of additional people coming onto the network, trying some new hosts, working out the kinks, and thank you for your patience on that. And we're working out. We want to give you guys as much, not only research, but also dynamic aspects of content and really exploring a lot more things here in the world of crypto, technology, Web3, obviously metaverse and gaming. So we'll dive into all that. Thanks again for the super chats. We always appreciate those. Last question up, does it have a larger cap project or does it just incorporate smaller and newer capped project? Oh, we're talking about the power index. So it's we hand pick basically to get in them. And if you look at our list, if you just go over to our website, you can see some of the list of the tokens. But like these are mostly large caps, even though you've got Shiba in there. That's a large cap. Quant's in there. That was a new one. We did drop a handful of those off there. The FTT token got delisted. Handful of others we've delisted here recently, just because some of the market isn't getting enough sentiment data. On the metaverse and gaming side, these are the tokens we track over there. So you've got, Axie, the usual suspects out there, but Audius and Veracity was added into that. Sushi was in there. Ecomi was brought in, so that's a small cap. Steppen also brought into that, but we track those for sure. All right, guys, if you're not in the Diamond Circle, get in. It's easy, it's cheap, and best of all, it's going to get you a direct connection to us. We drop a couple of emails. That way you don't miss the content. If you miss a live or you miss a drop, you'll catch it in your email over the weekend or something, and you can keep up with that. But more importantly is we drop special content there that doesn't come on the show. That's the bigger part, and it's usually an analysis on a token. So that alone is the reason to jump in there. And of course, if you guys want to catch me, it's out there on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.